So a lot of my partners have been really talented. This group is probably the most talented I've been at.
I don't want to be Lil Wayne. I want to be the guy who signs his check. I don't want to be Samuel Eto'o. I want to be the guy that signs his check. And I'm mentioning this because these were my inspiration when I was young.
When I come back at 01, 02 from the office, she's not going to start nagging me thinking maybe I went out, cheating or whatever, because she understands the intensity required for me to do what I need to do. And she also appreciates that I'm doing it for her and for our family.
Most women hang out at the finish line and they screw the winners. they don't care about your struggles as a man, right?
That's true.
Yeah, it is a fact.
My first startup was a competitor for Delivery, but it never took off.
But I just never wanted to be the guy that changes passwords in the offices. I'm changing passwords. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, that guy's so crucial.
I used to do that.
No, I did that. I did that job for a bit of time, like about 3 years or so. But I just never wanted to end there. So I wanted to be solving problems with the IT.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs have a God complex like that. Right? It's a God complex, right? Yeah. We want to create something.
Yeah.
So that complex has to kind of live in you.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
One time like this, make it pop like this, make it knock like. One time like this, make it pop like this, knock like this, make it drop. One time like this.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Mentorship Uncomplicated. This is where I have conversations with my friends, and hopefully you as the audience will get something from these conversations. And today is a special day because, first of all, this is the finale for season 2. So I've been doing this 11 episodes now. Yes, and I always wanted to close them at 12 before I start a new season. And finally, we're here, and I'm proud of that. I've been consistent. Yeah.
Great stuff. Congrats.
So I've been, I've hosted 2 of these guys before. So it's a privilege and an honor for me to host the others. And I would like to start by saying that everybody in this room is absolutely mad and crazy. The reason why I say they're mad and crazy is because we have somehow, so first of all, I call this the Founders Edition, okay? So everybody here is a founder. The reason why I say they're mad is because we have somehow convinced ourselves that we are going to change the world, and we believe it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a bold step. I was telling Chisepo that yesterday I was having a conversation with my partners in South Africa, and through the conversation, I started laughing because when I was listening to their conversations, I could feel that these guys were completely convinced that they were going to change the world. And it was just a room or a call made of crazy people. So it's a bold step. You're definitely unique in your own way. You definitely have balls. You decided to wake up and decide you want to be an entrepreneur in Africa, which is not easy. And here we are. So this episode is for us to catch up, to discuss about what you've been up to, and for us to just have a conversation and break down a few things, share some knowledge between ourselves. I believe this room is full of wealth from everything that a company needs to start and to run and to be sustainable, everything from management, operations, finance, and so on and so forth. So welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'll give everybody maybe 1 or 2 minutes to introduce themselves, and then we can pick it up from there. So we'll start with this gentleman.
Trashman.
Yes, that's exactly.
Yeah.
My name's Muyunda, and I'm a founder of a tech company called Ebusaka. So we are a marketplace for trash. We connect waste generators to waste collectors and recyclers. So we're in the trash business.
Pretty interesting. And glad to be here, back again. Yeah, I love this space, obviously. Thanks for having me again.
Most welcome.
Yeah, guess who's back? I like that. I'm Gibert Mwale, and I'm a CEO and co-founder of a company called Farmhouse Emsika. And we are into agri-tech, really just helping smallholder farmers in the poultry space and livestock, with just the whole entire value chain of assisting them from, buying agricultural inputs, as well as also technical support on the ground. We like calling it farm manager as a service, and holding people into production and then spinning back, giving them tech for them to use to do things like record keeping and all. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting, and looking forward to having this conversation.
Thanks for having me, Wallace. My name is Sal Shimapande.
Smooth.
You can hear it.
For having me, Wallace.
I am a serial entrepreneur. I started being an entrepreneur, I think, in 2004. At that time, I was also a banker, so I'm a banker by profession. I worked in a great company at Citigroup a long time ago. After that, then I kind of started my own company, and it's been an addiction ever since. Thanks for having us. Hopefully, I can contribute something.
Most welcome.
Awesome. Thanks. My name is Mwansa, and I'm founder of Duniya Healthcare, basically a health tech business that's solving the problem of access to medicine in Africa. And this is my third venture over the past 10 years. So a little bit more mature now, you know.
Yeah.
I was hoping by now I'd have like a private plane. That's why we're here.
That's why we're here.
And I,
How is that going?
I also do 90
I came
kilometers.
for breakfast at Wallace.
Yeah. We were hungry. We were hungry.
That's how it's going.
And the 90K, I mean, we must not give that 90K space.
Yeah.
And he runs 90 kilometers.
My friend runs 90K. That's wow.
This guy has an engine in his chest.
Yeah, man. My name is Chisepo, and I'm back here like a boomerang.
Yeah.
I did the last episode with Wallace. It was fun, and I couldn't miss this one. Founders Edition. Yeah. All these guys here are my friends. I know all their rubbish. I've been in all the crazy rooms with these
all the
guys.
lies. We tell ourselves.
Yeah, man. I'm founder of a company called Bosso that I started with my good friend sitting here, Sal, and two other friends that aren't in the room here. The other two that aren't in the room here are the ones that make shit happen. We are the most playful. So Bosso is an e-commerce platform for building material. So if you're looking for your building material, you don't need to go to town anymore. You just hop onto your phone on your PC. Building material gets delivered to your building site within 24 hours. We are the first to do that in Zambia. We've partnered with some amazing brands, so you can hop in and get almost family price when you buy from Bosso. And I think what really excites me about what we're doing is we're solving a huge problem. Africa is facing a 60 million housing crisis. Zambia, at the time that we were starting this company, was facing a 1.5 million housing crisis. It's now a 2 million houses deficit that we need to solve. So I'm really excited about the problem we are solving because it really impacts all of us in a great way. I think when cholera hit, all of us got impacted one way or another when cholera hit, but most of us didn't realize that cholera was a spin-off from the fact that we've got bad housing. Yeah, so we are all impacted one way or another with this housing crisis, and that's what Bosso is trying to solve. Most importantly, I'm excited to be talking about it here today. So thanks for having me here, Wallace. Thanks for having all of us.
Awesome. Nice having you guys here. So I'll introduce myself. Since I didn't fly here trying to kill our vibe, but it is in Africa. My name is Wallace, Afshon Wallace. I'm the founder and CEO of AfriOnline. I'm their godfather. So
one of the OGs.
So all these are my younger brothers, and I've seen them come up in the industry. Wow. Very proud of them, and I'm happy to be an example. And I'm here to teach them and to tell them how the future looks like. And it is hard. Yeah? It is hard. You can see that. You can feel the drought here. It's harder. But welcome to Mentorship Uncomplicated. Happy to have you guys here. And I guess we can just jump right into it. So I'll start with behind every entrepreneur or behind every founder, there's something that inspired them. We need to keep this at 1 minute. So in 1 minute, tell us what inspired you to start doing what you're doing. I'll start with the trash man. I find the trash man very interesting because, first of all, I don't know whether you guys have used this app. Have you? Bruh, let me tell you something. One of the reasons why. So I met this guy at a wedding, okay? And I meet a lot of people that come to me and be like, oh, I'm doing this. Do you want to see? I'm doing this. And I thought it was just one of them. So I took his number. We exchanged numbers. I kept thinking about him until now. We met at, I think, Sarova. But I had never tested his stuff and so on. His app is smooth. All of us here in tech, we build apps and so on. My friends, you need to check out his app.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It's international standard, bro.
Nice.
Beautiful.
International standard. I was like, what?
Yeah.
This thing was built here.
Yeah, nice.
So tell us about your story, man.
Yeah, I think I've always had that Steve Jobs kind of,
Yeah.
I think everyone has got like a master that they look up to. Like, okay, like I think Gilbert was just like wants to be like Jack Ma. I think for me, I always wanted to be like, like Steve Jobs, like attention to detail. I've always had that thing. I know it can be somehow a weakness, but it can also be a strength if you exit right. Yeah. So yeah, entrepreneurship. How did it all start? I think sometimes you don't get to plan to be an entrepreneur. I think when there's like something gets to hit you or you get to be affected about something, like a problem. I remember during COVID, there was, by the way, this is my second startup. My first startup was a competitor for Afri Delivery, but it never took off.
It died in the bedroom.
You cannot compete with the king.
Yeah, exactly. I was a student, guys. So being a student,
No excuses.
yeah. So I was a student and I was trying to run a company offshore. Like you are somewhere abroad and then you're trying to run a company here. And it doesn't work.
Where did you study?
In India.
Oh, okay. Same as him.
Yeah.
We actually had a good chat around that when coming over, Pretty
Yeah.
interesting.
You guys never met there?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think the zeal for me actually came when I was in university, the zeal for entrepreneurship, because I was seeing like the entire ecosystem was just like, wow, there's so much at home, there's so much untapped potential at home that I think we're just like having this blind eye, like there's just so much potential. So when you're out there, I think it's always important to travel, because when you travel somehow and you become like an open-minded, because there's so much things that you can see around, so much potential. So basically that's why I started my whole entrepreneurship interest from that side. Then I came here when there was COVID. So there was all this trash that used to pile up. I think by then there was a lot of I think waste management by then was affected because of COVID, and there was a lot of trash that used to pile up. So I just used to this trash, like, should I become a climate change activist? But I was just like, there's so many climate change activists around. Then that's why I thought I've got a background in computer application. I was just like, okay, how not combine, how can I solve tech with waste management, That's how now the journey basically started. And then I think I applied for a program by UNDP. And yeah, of course, we won. Initially, actually, when I was applying for this, idea just came at night. I just woke up at night and then I remember there's a trash problem. Then I just put everything and then I just applied and I forgot about it. Until I was selected and I was actually among the winners. I was like, wow. Then I checked. Yes.
Was there money?
There's always money.
How much money was there?
How much?
There's always money,
How
but you don't
much?
need money to start.
Don't wait.
That's what they tell you when they start with money.
I know, right? But
Like stop giving other people advice.
yeah. So basically, that's how my journey started, and then from there, I just got my notes and I started building basically a business from there. So yeah, it's been 3 years now, trying to hit the market, and yeah.
Still no jet.
So this is now when we're about to launch.
No private jet.
Tomorrow will be harder.
Tomorrow will be better. So yeah, so pretty much that's pretty much us, the trash people.
Okay.
And we are solving a very big problem, I think, around waste management. We all know that waste management is a very big problem, especially in Africa.
Yep.
So our model helps us in terms of building a more of a circular model, whereby there's more waste that is brought back to life. Like there's more waste getting recycled, and less waste actually that going to the dump site. So pretty much we are solving around waste management and just building data. We all know data is key. I don't know about you guys, but if you have data, it's very easy to build a model that wins.
Okay. Gilbert,
Well, mine,
1 minute, Gilbert.
Yeah, thank you.
60 seconds,
Then,
starting
then
now.
I'm done.
Well, another minute.
All right, good. So, similar story with him. Though my background is that I grew up in the eastern part of Zambia, which is Chipata. So the biggest thing we did there was we were into farming. We grew maize with my dad and tobacco. And I always like to say that, when I was much younger, I thought he was making a lot of money, like out of that stuff, because you're young, and whatever is going on, he buys a vehicle, you think, oh man, we got a big deal. When I began to grow up a little bit more, I figured out, what? I think we're making peanuts. I think we're not making enough for the work that we are putting in. There's a lot of work that goes into that stuff. So, because of that, I figured this is not a career I want to be in. I want nothing to do with agriculture. I hate this stuff, and I'm just going to work because I'm a very obedient son. I will show up at the farm anytime, but as soon as I get the opportunity, I'm running away from this stuff. And that's how, when I finished high school, I went out and got I asked my best friend, said, look, dude, what are we going to become in this world? And then we saw who's the richest guy in the world at that time. And Bill Gates. We said, bruh, what did the guy do? Computer science, man, that's us. That's our ticket out of trouble.
Very intentional.
Well, that's the guy we are following. That and agriculture. So that's how I applied for computer science, and I managed to get the opportunity to study in Namibia.
Your 1 minute is almost.
Yeah, so I got the opportunity to study in that, and coming back, I always had a cry in my heart to say, how can I use this IT stuff and not throwing shade on anybody, because everybody's important in this world. But I just never wanted to be the guy that changes passwords in the offices. I'm changing passwords. And, you know what I mean? I was like,
That guy is so crucial. He is so
I used to do that a
no,
lot.
I
used to
did
do
that.
a lot.
I did that job for a bit of time, about 3 years or so. But I just never wanted to end there. So I wanted to be solving problems with the IT. Yeah. So I got the opportunity to go to India. Again, like my brother Muyunda is mentioning here, the place is just bursting with tech. Yeah. But I feel what makes India one of the best places for somebody to be in who's African is that the environment looks like Zambia. It doesn't look like the US.
Yeah.
So it's not high level, but they're using high level stuff. Yes. So they're using high level tech, but typically commotion, population, every chaos, rubbish, whatever, everything that is exactly here. So for me, that became the model, and the question was, how do we bring these solutions that I've seen this side? How do we come and solve similar problems back here? And that's how they started off.
For me, entrepreneurship started, I just talk about my journey, not so much Bosso, but for me, entrepreneurship started out, I was a banker and I funded somebody else's film. And what happened was they did a bad job and I looked at them and said, I could do a lot better than this. Right? And that really spawned a lot of my entrepreneurship, is when you look at something and say, oh, if I applied myself, I can do, this person's a professional, right? So you look at something and you're like, okay, no, I can do better than that. So as soon as I got the opportunity, I was like, okay, let me cut and let me go do it. I can do it better than anybody else. So for me, it was a lot of ego, unfortunately, which is good because I thought I could do it and I could do it better than anybody else. And then when I looked at certain African titans, like Aliko was somebody who Dangote was somebody who I always was like, okay, if I go back to Africa, that's me. Right? So I was like, let me join a titan industry, the whole nine. So it always was in the back of my head that I wanted to do something, and I knew entrepreneurship was the way I was going to go.
I didn't even know this stuff about him. We've been friends for all these years.
Important.
See why this is important.
But a quick one I wanted to ask around that is that you mentioned film. Was there anything else that you saw that somebody wasn't doing right that you felt like you wanted to go and deal with, and you actually did it?
No. So for film, I just loved film as a medium, right? I liked telling stories. I liked actors, actresses, and I was always like, cool. And then my brother got a screenplay. So when he got a screenplay, an actual script, and then he just kind of left it at the house and just kind of ran away with it, and then ran away. And then I just poured over that thing over and over. I loved the imagery, and then I watched the movie, and I was like turning pages with it. So it just became kind of what I wanted to do. So screenplay writing, and then it turned to film, producing films and things. So that's where I was heading.
Now you're in construction.
and
Africa.
And that's after taking him away from chickens.
Yeah.
He had retired.
He was a farmer, man.
Complete
He was a farmer, yeah.
Still a farmer, actually.
Yeah, he still does that.
Yeah.
The
Now
chickens died,
failed.
though.
Completely failed. Chickens died.
And Duniya?
Yeah. I think when I look back, I think
First of all, this is your second startup, right? So we have to
Third,
agree that everybody here has had at least one startup.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So for the founders, early founders, your first idea? Yeah.
I think my conclusion is that creation is an addiction, because when I was in university, I was being prepared for like just getting a job and whatnot, and I did all the right things, very high grades and whatnot, But two things happened when I was in uni. I built two ventures of sorts whilst I was there. I started the first economics association at the university, and that meant that I started from scratch because we were the first class. And I would come up with all of these crazy ideas, and then I would bring a team together and would do them. So just that process of having the idea and actually actualizing it. And then after that, I did that for 2 years. And I said, okay, let me go and do something else. Started now the first actual venture I started, which was the Piggy Bank campaign, a social impact venture. And we did amazing stuff with that as well. And we built classrooms for community schools and whatnot. And just that process of having ideas and creating them, I think it became an addiction. By the time I was coming to the close of my time at university, I was thinking about what do I get to do now? And then I looked back and saw, I've been able to do all of these things and build and got such a good satisfaction from them. I think, why can't I use that same skill to see how best we can create an impact, And that's how I just went in full throttle entrepreneurship.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs have a God complex like that.
That's crazy,
Right?
man.
It's a God complex,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We want to create something. We want to create something. We want to create something.
Yeah.
So that complex has to kind of live in you.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is good.
Oh, yeah. It's a feeling that only gods and mothers know.
Yep.
Clearly.
Gods and moms.
Founders, exactly.
Chisepo, what's your story, man? Tell us.
So the inspiring part?
The inspiring part. What inspired it? No. Do
No,
not plug anything in here.
It's like, no, bro. Not
No
the
pitching.
just to-
Don't pitch anymore. No selling.
Do you know how many times I've heard this story from him? Like, I'm just gonna go to sleep. He
No,
worked
man, I
in his
think-
mother's place and
Bro,
da da da.
it is the 4-1. It's the entire 4-1. Anyway, I think for me, I came from a middle class family, stable. I think went to one of the best private schools in Lusaka. So I didn't come from poverty. But within that, I was one of the poorest because my parents never spoiled us. My parents were very strict, very, they wanted great behavior. So I never
Scarcity in abundance.
exactly. They sort of created scarcity in abundance, like he's put it. Yeah. So I went to a great school, but didn't have money. So I think that for me was always like, I don't want to be poor. I want to have my own money. So for me, entrepreneurship was about, I think my dad bought me a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I read it. I was like, oh, snap. So I can actually make a shitload of money. So that for me was, I just don't want to make basic money. I don't want to be Lil Wayne. I want to be the guy who signs his check. I don't want to be Samuel Eto'o. I want to be the guy that signs his check. And I'm mentioning this because these were my inspiration when I was young. Yeah, and I really wanted to be a soccer player, but didn't make it that way. I really wanted to be an artist. Some of the well-known artists today were some of my friends or classmates, Kaladoshas, if you guys know the Zambian Kaladoshas, Deskmate and all. So for me, at the end of the day, I just wanted to make it big. I loved being in front of people. I wanted to be a star. I always wanted to be different. Even home, my mom would always tell me, "But why do you always want to stand out? Why you, when everybody's going this way, why are you trying to go this way?" So I'm always looking for a better way, always looking for. So I think that, to a degree, drove me towards entrepreneurship. When I tried music, it didn't work. When I tried soccer, it didn't work. I was like, what's the next thing that can make me different? Yeah. And it was this thing.
What are you doing in music?
I love music. I create music.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I do make music.
Do you have some music online?
No,
We
no.
listen to something.
Maybe we play something.
you have a sample.
You can freestyle right now. I'll beatbox.
Oh man,
You don't
the camera is right here. Chef 187.
you don't know who will be watching this.
You know what I mean?
Right?
The pandola bondi bells in No man, I love rap. I love music. When you come to my house, there's a guitar, there's a keyboard. I can't afford a saxophone. I'm giving you guys ideas for my birthday.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then I love soccer so much.
But can I say something funny, right?
Yeah.
Is that those sound like two of my hobbies, like
Yeah.
things that I love secretly. You know, understand? Like I played football.
Yeah.
I think grade 8, all the way to grade 8, and I played it semi-professional. You know, for a club that time. You remember when there was that issue of under 13, under 15,
Yeah.
whatever. I played for ShopRite.
Nice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I played for ShopRite 8
Was it
and
free?
9. Yeah. So
getting
so
paid.
it was quite cheap because it was quite cheap in the sense that if you don't make it to the first team on the day of the game, you ain't getting paid. You know what I'm talking about? But if you play in that one, you're getting something, and I'm pretty sure it was very little. You know, second thing is
Sounds like your
music.
first startup.
Definitely. But the second thing is music. Like I also love rap. I grew up next to my uncle who was great at rap. You know, to the fact that I was almost living my life in his life where he's doing things like that. Only that, you know, I think it comes to a question I want to ask.
Why are you guys here? Why are you guys
I don't understand.
here? You know, there's some shop going
just
on
like no-
online.
What's going on?
Just like not so many, not everybody's a star out there.
Oh yeah.
All right, I'll move on to the next question. So, like we've heard clearly, everybody here is at least minimum second founder. So what that means is the fact that they've started one startup, didn't make it for obvious reasons, or maybe they left for obvious reasons, and now they're on to...
You are the 15th founder. Then.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm your
Not second.
godfather. I've got- started like at least 10 startups. Succeeded in...
No.
Yeah, no, it's not a joke.
Not a
Succeeded
joke
in
at all.
Maybe I've succeeded in maybe the last 3, 4. Yeah, which is actually
Fair
a
enough.
very high
Fair enough.
score.
Fair enough.
Right there on top with them, the Zuckerbergs and stuff. And yeah, so what I want to ask is, do you think this is the one? If you think about your business at this particular point, do you think this is the one that will take you there? I'll give you a few seconds, 15 seconds.
Yeah. When people want it, then it's the one.
Is this the one?
Yes, this is the one.
Gilbert?
I think it has. I think there's a where it evolves to. I don't think in its complete exact state, it completely represents the one. So I feel like there's a morphing that it requires to do, and that is when it will completely take off. And from that point is that there's an angle where we're looking at it from a continental level, and that is on the tech side, and we are beginning to see that happening. Yeah.
So do you feel like it's under Farmhouse, or do you feel like you'll have to start something afresh completely?
I feel it's under Farmhouse. Yeah, I feel it's under Farmhouse because as I'm speaking, I've been having a lot of conversations with organizations within Zambia and outside Zambia. And those conversations are looking like acquisition, which was never a conversation initially when it was just Emsika. So now I'm seeing a lot of conversations acquisition. I'm seeing conversations of can we white label, can we use the tool to do this, and then even the penetration, the pathway, the line of sight towards how do I get into Tanzania, how do I get into Zim, into Namibia is clearer. Like I can tell it to somebody within a minute or two. And I think for me, that then helps you allow somebody else who's apart from you see value in what is happening. So I feel like it is.
Okay.
So when you talk about the one, okay, I think it would be good to just increase it. When you talk about the one, are you talking about, is this the one that's going to become a unicorn? or is this the one that you're going to end up exiting? You know, because there are all these things. Or is this the one that you're going
Your
to build?
definition of success.
Yes.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
your definition. I mean, success is relative.
Yeah.
So the way you define success is basically not the same as all of us.
Okay.
So do you feel like, when you wake up in the morning, do you feel like all your attention goes to what you're doing now? Or do you feel like on the side, you still want to do something that will be bigger than what you're doing now?
I think for me, I shouldn't change your answer. Yeah, for me, this is the one that propels me for the one. Yeah, and I don't even know what the next one is. And I don't even think about what the next one is going to be. I don't actually care. But I think when I look at what I've been through before, I now don't commit all my emotions into one venture. So right now I'm 100% committed to Bosso. But if time to exit comes, I'm ready.
I'm out.
If time to IPO comes, I'm ready. If time to close it down comes, I'm equally ready. It won't be what I want, but I'm equally ready for anything. But I know that closing is not an option at this point. I think even my energy, every day, the amount of testosterone I feel in my body when I get up, I think it's hard to. It's like, seriously, this is not even a joke.
Yeah.
I was telling Sao and Ibin the other day. I think it's hard to compete with me at the stage I'm at right now. I get up in the morning and I'm like, who goes to bed at 10 or even 11 and wakes up at, like, my sleep ends at 2 and I'm energetic, I'm up and I'm running? It's crazy. Like today, every day, I don't remember the last time I woke up at 6. Like every day I've been waking up at 2, 3 and I start the day. So it's really hard to compete with me right now. But I know that when we get Bosso to where it's supposed to go, the next, maybe we exit as an example. I think what I'm going to do next might be even bigger and better because now I've got the experience, I've got the friends, I've also the network really, and now I'll also have the money, so it will be different.
I hope after this episode you're going to go for a health check. Just
no,
make sure.
man, I make sure I rest on
You're
weekends.
not having enough rest. You need to
I
go
sleep
for
on
health-
weekends, crazy sleep. My weekdays are hard to compete with me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Duniya?
I think it is. And mainly because, not even I think it is, I know it is. Because it blends two things that I've always believed in, right? Which is on one side, I want a good financial return on the effort and investment I put in. I want the money in the bank sitting cold. Right? Cooling. But I also want to create impact, right? I want to see that from the effort I'm putting through, I'm able to change people's lives. And that's what healthcare does, right? And that's a space I'm in right now. And like Gilbert said, it might change form in terms of the form of the company itself, but I think I'm in the space I'm going to be in for a very long time and make very good money from it. I am also alive to the fact and realistic to the fact that there's a concept called useful delusion, right? Which most of us founders have, which is a basic concept that we are usually deluded, but in a useful way, right? And the best example the psychologists give is like the best marriages in the world. They found that are made of partners that are completely delusional about their partners, but in a useful way. That you think that your wife is the most beautiful person in the world. Yeah, you know, it's not a fact, but it's a useful delusion.
It's a fact.
Yeah,
It's a fact.
Exactly. So I'm also I'm also alive to the fact that at least, and that's what experience brings through, because it's a feeling you've felt before and you've been disappointed before, right? But then there are certain underlying facts that you're looking at that makes you a little bit more grounded than before. And that's why I think that this is definitely the one.
Nice. Awesome. Sal?
Absolutely.
Sal was just supposed to step in for 2 years.
So I was supposed to step in for what?
For just projections.
One task.
It wasn't even.
Accidental.
The live. Do I think this is the one? Yes. I've been at this for 20 years. And you realize I've also, like, I worked with my brother who's extremely talented. Showmore, shout out. I worked with Amik Richards, really talented guys who did music videos, really talented on their side, right? So a lot of my partners have been really talented. This group is probably the most talented I've been at.
Wow.
Right? So there are 4 of us, and we're all pretty committed. And one of the reasons why I decided Chisepo was a lot younger than me, so probably the best CEO I've seen. In action. In action.
And you've been in banking?
I mean,
really?
In action. So he really very solid.
What am I missing?
Yeah.
No, I think I believe you, yeah.
And then if you look at Ivan, the things that Ivan's able to do just in the last 6 months, the guy took control of our sales team, was doing great, and the guy just took it to another level. So I think it starts with the team. So this is the best team I've been around. And with a team like that, I don't think that we're going to lose. We're going to exit. It's how we exit. So this one will be the one that I think gets everybody to the first step of their goal, wherever they are.
One time like this, make it pop like this. Knock like this, make it drop. One time like this, make it pop like
Most people that ask whether you can achieve a balance, whatever you guys call it, life balance thing. It's impossible. The reason because, first of all, especially if you...
So you've never had a girlfriend while you were in a startup?
I have.
Okay, so how'd it go?
But if you're performing at a very high level, one will have to suffer. And one doesn't suffer. And actually, most of the time, it's never about your time, by the way. Most people assume it's about time. It's not about time. It's about here, in your head. Okay? Because whatever is going on in your head dictates a lot of things that you don't even understand yourself. Your moods, your tension, all that stuff. And let me tell you, as a founder, especially as an early founder, you're going through so much stuff, shit, that having a bad day is inevitable. You understand? And you might not want for this to affect your partner or your relationship, but if they're there actively, they will feel it. So your partner needs to be able to be a very good buffer to receive all this stuff. But I don't know, myself personally, and I'm not even looking for that balance. It's come on, it's not fun. I don't know. I don't want to be in a position where that I'm absolutely just not working, and then just. Nah.
So were you not in love, or were you like, no, I was in love. It was just that.
I was in love, but I also looked for partners that were equally very busy.
I think that's a good one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because
I've got
men make time for what they care about, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm in a relationship and I have a startup, right, it really affects every relationship I'm in. Whether it's my parents, whether it's this, it really affects. So that's why I'm kind of asking, like, how do you
The two married men are quiet on this.
right?
Well,
But I'll tell
think
you,
let me allow you to go through.
I'll tell you, the whole time you've been speaking, it reminded me of a video I saw recently of Conor McGregor, the UFC champion, and he was quoting Van Gaal, where he says, "I dedicated my life to the art and I lost my mind." So there's a video of him before he was a champion in 2013, and McGregor was saying, I am like Van Gaal. I've dedicated my life to the art and I'm going to lose my mind. But if I can at least have a mansion for my mom, and my girlfriend can have different vehicles for each day, and my children's children will have, will be safeguarded for generations to come, I'll be okay that I lost my mind. So something has to give. And for me, that's something I am alive to, and I'm glad that my wife understands. When I come back at 01, 02 from the office, she's not going to start nagging me thinking maybe I went out, cheating or whatever, because she understands the intensity required for me to do what I need to do. And she also appreciates that I'm doing it for her and for our family. But absolutely something has to give.
Do you ever feel bad because she's not getting like the best version of you, right? Your startup is.
Of course. It's like asking, what does it cost for me to achieve what I want to do? It costs everything. Everything.
I would like to say something around that. And it's a little bit, I think, first of all, I pick on what both of you have said. I have never set out in my mind to balance anything. in terms of how I do stuff. Like, but what I have set out to do is to have a great relationship with my wife. Just enjoy her and enjoy as well what I love doing, which is building. Now, just like Chisepo mentioned, I think in my first version of my business, I went in with everything. Like when I say everything, and I feel like to a certain degree of it was I was a little bit naive. You understand that? Where I gave up too much for what was required to be given up. And I personally don't think that you need to go to that extent for you to be able to get the success that you require. I think you just there's a certain level of working smart as well that is required. Now, you can only figure that out, obviously, after, the initial failures and stuff like that. Then you begin to realize. Now, I'll say this to you. If you look at how, because, all of us have hung around Wallace and all those things. If you look at how he runs the businesses in right now, it's not the same way I should believe the beginning of the business itself or the previous businesses. You understand that? Now, I will not say what those things are. You can always mention them as you want to, but there's a certain level of coolness and level-headedness and a little bit of I know what's going on there because there is A, B, C, D that I've put in order. You understand? Systems. You understand? So those are things that I began to realize. And my wife has been the most person, because remember, between the two of us, she's the one that worked in a bigger organization between the two of us. Like, she worked in that organization longer enough. So she came in with the wisdom. Yeah. Every time I was trying to go in with brute force, which is me, going to pitch, grind, everything. It's like, hey, my guy, relax, take it easy. Have you put this up? She tried with that strategic planning stuff in my head. I'm like, nah, I don't need that. Let me just go pitch.
Yeah, but so I think I like that. That. I feel like if you build systems, you can have a balance. So probably you haven't yet built systems. That's why you're struggling on the other side.
Imagine yourself with systems and brute force. Imagine
that. That's a great combination. If you can work hard and smart, then you're unstoppable. But
then you can be like Chisepo and say you can't compete with
exactly. There's something Sal always says that I think you're not always going to be at the top of your game. So you need to first employ systems and employ great people on the bus so that on your off days, things are still running. So there are times that I'm not in my best shape, but no one will notice because there are 3 other people and there are 12 other people behind those 3. And then there are times that Ibin is not at his best, like he took a leave, but then there's all of us and nobody sees the gap. So if you can do that, so it's a combination of systems and people.
So I feel like, for me, that is what brought order. When, I feel like I had, now, guys go like, oh, here you go again. The same way there's a rebirth in my, the way I look at, my Christian life, is the same way I felt like when my first business died. You understand? Like, I felt like, oh, phew, I have another opportunity to start this thing rightly again. Do you understand? And when I was starting it, there were things I was figuring out when the other guy was dying, you understand, that I could not implement in that moment. But as soon as everything went to the bottom, I went like,
But can I say something it's about going to the bottom and stuff? Because a lot of being a startup is you going crazy, right? You have so many bad days. You have so many, like we had a theft. We have so many bad things that happen. How do you not let that bleed into your personal? Like when you come home or you're like, hey, this is what it is. How do you let the worst of the worst days not affect how you spend with your daughter and how you spend with your wife, how you spend with all that?
I think it's crazy. I think my wife, I said this even in the last podcast, that I think she was my therapist without paying her, man. Like, free therapist,
You paid Lobola.
Yeah. hey, look.
That counts. Payment.
For the confusion.
You get me in trouble because in her tribe there's very little Lobola that is paid. But my point is this. But but let me just quickly answer this question. The idea is that for me, I think what you're looking at, I would pour out a lot of issues to her.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think I abused her in that because every time I came back with an issue, and I still do that today, but I'm a little bit more conscious.
But why don't you think she'll leave you? because you're right, being vulnerable as a man, showing somebody that I'm in trouble.
Yeah, that's
That's
in many
tough.
cases considered as a
I've not
weakness.
had. Your wife is a great person.
That's
I
what
have
I'm
not
saying,
had.
unicorn.
I've not had that.
Yeah.
You pour bad issues into the person you're with, and they internalize that, or they take it on themselves, or something. It doesn't work out well for men.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I was telling my
my
girlfriend just a few days ago that I'll never cry in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I when I did in the past,
It never worked
didn't
out
work.
well.
It didn't
It's
work.
used against you.
Yeah, even what I would term as my own mothers in my family, you go and cry to your own grandmother or something, or they just don't take it well. They want to see strength. They're looking for strength from you as a guy, and then when you so now these days I cry to my boys.
Your homeboys.
Yeah, like when I sit with Wallace, sometimes we have these like really vulnerable moments. I'm sitting with Salwa, I'm telling him about my issues and so on. I find that easier than going to do it in front of.
But how do you think that affects the relationship that we have with, for example, for us that are not married, the kind of partner that we're looking for? Because what you're talking about is very important, because I noticed that I also created this wall.
Yeah.
Uh, between anybody that I am seeing and myself. And I noticed that when I used to drink, I only used to become vulnerable when I was drunk. Okay. But like when I'm sober like this, like you create this wall that you never let any of these things come out. But it's not sustainable. I mean, you cannot continue like this. But then, like you said, it's becoming a bit more easier now to talk to your boys. But ideally, when you're having your own home, it's you and your wife and your kids and so on. So what happens then?
Yeah.
Do you
run
still
away?
call your boys when you're in your 40s, 50s and tell them, hey, my guy, I'm going through this? Or do you just keep looking for the one until you...
We should hope to get unicorns like Mwansa and Gilbert.
Yeah.
Right? But we have to also realize that they are unicorns. They are that rare. So the majority of women are not what my friends here have found. The majority of women who run away from problems, they just want you to bring solutions. In fact, I like to tell guys that most women hang out at the finish line and they screw the winners. they don't care about your struggles as a man, right?
That's true.
Yeah, it is a fact.
That's true.
Yeah, but
Most of the women you date.
but if you find those that can give you a shoulder, and then you're lucky. But also remember that it's only for a period of time.
Yeah,
you can't keep
there's a
claiming.
grace period,
You can't
exactly.
keep claiming you fixed the battery. You know the battery movie, right? For how long? Women have a timeline for you. That's what I've seen. That's what I've.
I want to say this, Chisepo.
Wait. I was about to answer his
Okay.
question. Yeah, we won't get into relationships. But I think for me, being able to separate work and so when I get home, I deliberate. So most of the time when you come to the office, do you find my laptop on the desk?
Yes.
Yeah, deliberately I leave my laptop at work. I don't take work home anymore. So I work as long as I can from the office. When I leave, I go home. I'm a single dad. I live with my daughter. I'm a father at home. I'm playing games. I'm doing homework, etc. So similarly, when I'm dating, I don't take my problems or my work problems to the relationship. Even the type of people I date don't speak startup language. So I try and make sure it's very separate from. That's me. That has worked for me.
I would like to get a portion of that because I think I learned to do that over time. Again, I think for me,
Learn to do what?
what Chisepo has just mentioned, which is the issue of leaving work. You understand? Not necessarily detaching, but just leaving work. There are two things. I was becoming a dad. So when I was transitioning from the old business, when it was just dying off, and I was getting into this other guy, I had to set certain steps on how I was going to do things. Number one, I set a rule to say that, not because, by the way, I've been raised very well, just like you, parents, both of them there, brought me up pretty good. So I went like, I want to replicate a relationship like my parents had with my kid and with my wife. So I need to figure this out. And quickly I went to systems. You understand? Quickly I went to systems, and I saw somebody post this on Facebook the other time, but there's a book that has been amazing towards that. And it's called E-Myth. And I think that book is crazy good. I wish I saw that book early on. It's the E there is simply, some people think it's internet, no, or electronics. It simply means entrepreneurship myth, meaning that you sometimes you're not cut for it, and that's what you take to the startup, and you just you just do things. Now, the joy I had there is that once I figured out that I am playing in this mode, the point we are making here is that the unicorn and stuff like that. I wish my wife was a unicorn.
She is a unicorn.
I don't think so. Let me say this. Let me say this. My wife is not a unicorn. We have built the unicorn.
Gotcha.
Do you understand? We have built that environment, like from day one. Now, I know this is not a like a marriage counseling activity, or we're just having a chat, right? But I want to say something
But it's important.
I want to say something that may be helpful, which is to say that when we were courting and going towards getting married, right? One of the first things I'll tell you that today I have conversations with people who are getting married. Just last night, I ended until 22 hours talking to a couple that was about to get married. And the thing I'll tell you is that when you want to find a partner, from my perspective, make sure that the day before you say I do, know each other's weaknesses to the blast. Like get the most you can get of this is your worst in this side, this is your worst in that side. And then when you have determined all the worst, then ask yourself a question: can I still pick you with all this worst stuff? Because that is what is going to be going on and on and on. You can be changing and improving in those things as you get into marriage, but they will be there. You understand? So for me, I know all her ugly stuff. And I mean from her past, from her now, and she knows mine. I can even have a conversation over my ex, like, hey, my wife won't go like, wow. So
Gilbert has a unicorn. So he just doesn't know.
No, it was built. It's these conversations where I figured out, if I get to hide these things, I will struggle in the future. I have a lot of issues such that I know to say if I let these ones out of the closet later, they'll cause more problems. You get the point? So I go like in advance before we go anywhere. My guy, these are my issues. These are the other ones. The other one I'll tell you about them later, but they are all these things. And I think it gives a certain level of order. And let me say this. Can I transition this to business?
No. Gilbert, we gotta move on. We gotta move on.
Can you wrap up?
I want to ask something about business.
Fast.
I want something about
30
business.
seconds.
In business, we carry this same behavior where we look like superstars as the owners, as the founder. Like you are a superstar in the sense that you are everything. You can do everything. And I feel it's the same picture we put out around. But the mode that I work in now is that these are my weaknesses to my employees. I hired you because I'm weak in that area, and that is why you are here. So I tell you in your face, like, so if you are not getting your stuff done, then everybody is shaking here.
I think transparency in any relationship is key. If everybody comes to the table with as an open book, and I think for me, most people have asked me before, how come all your partnerships work? The only partnership I ever got into that didn't work was my first college business with my first founders. And it didn't work because I was scared to tell them the truth, because I was scared I would lose them. But then after that, Zipos, I don't even know what that is.
True relationships.
No, now I'm talking business, right?
Okay.
But then when I went to Zipos, it's low blows right here. When I went to Zipos, that was the most open business relationship I've ever been in.
And I loved you guys.
Yeah, man. Those solid co-founders.
It was like a family.
We were family. And similarly with Bosso, just last week, one of our co-founders was leading us through a conversation around if Chisepo dies, what are we going to do? Now imagine having a conversation about what my possible death would be, and that's a hard conversation to have, but we had it. Now think of all the other open conversations we've had before that. So I think when I hear what you're saying about your relationship, your wife, I think in any partnership, in any business, openness, transparency, I think saves a lot of trouble going forward. Yeah.
Right. We'll be coming back for part 2. Stay tuned.
One time like this, make it pop like this, knock like